Hey folks, welcome back. So, as you know, I've been picking up a lot of cuboids lately, working on my cuboid solving skills, and in a few of my previous videos I sort of hinted that a very exciting beast in the cuboid family was coming my way, and I just realized that I actually hadn't uploaded a video about it yet. So, apologies for that, but here we are. So, this right here is kind of the culmination of my recent frenzied acquisition of cuboids. This is a 3x5x7 3D printed by Chewie's Custom Stickers in the United States. I bought this just before Christmas when Chewie was having a sale. And so it was, I think, 20% off or 25% off. At any rate, it was a lot. It was a big discount. So I had my eye on this, which he had announced not too long before that. And I thought, you know what? I'm getting into cuboids now, so let's just grab it. And I got it printed in orange because I like orange things. No other reason. And I asked for textured stickers because I thought it might look interesting. And I quite like the textured stickers on my Very Puzzle puzzles. And Chewie did a great job with the stickers, as you would expect. I did have one of the yellow edge stickers. Let's see if I can pinpoint which one it was. I think it was this guy here that for some reason had no stickiness whatsoever. It was just sliding off all the time. But I've super glued it on. Everything's fine now. And this is a great puzzle. I'm really excited about it. I haven't done a full scramble yet, so unfortunately I won't be scrambling it on video today because, as I mentioned in one of the comments recently, I'm not so good at working out solutions to puzzles when they are fully scrambled. I kind of do a lot of investigation, experimentation on the solved puzzle first, so if I scramble this, I may never get it back. But once I do scramble it, I can happily do a revisit of the puzzle, maybe do a solve on video if anybody is interested in seeing that. But for now, I'm just going to talk about the puzzle, show off the movement. I'm going to talk in a little bit more detail than I normally would about a single puzzle, just on the basis that, you know, being 3D printed, this is quite an expensive acquisition. So if you are thinking about investing, you know, I'd like to try and help you make that decision in an informed way, and you know, then you can be confident that it's worth your money or not, depending on how you evaluate what I'm telling you. But in any case, I'm really happy with this puzzle. Now, one thing I should say is that when it arrived, the puzzle's movement was quite stiff, but I expected that. This is an FDM printed puzzle, which is what Chewie specializes in, and he offers 3D printed puzzles at a much more affordable price than you might get, for example, at iMaterialize, certainly more than Shapeways, which I don't honestly understand how anybody buys anything from Shapeways, because the puzzles of any non-trivial puzzle there cost like £600 or £700 at least. But the trade-off that you make for getting a much more affordable puzzle is that it's FDM printed rather than SLS. SLS printing uses lasers and is very precise, whereas FDM is a little bit more rough and ready. But in practice, because Chewie does some post-processing on everything he produces, it looked really nice out of the box. But you do get this kind of rough texture on the surface of the plastic. But the good thing about 3D printed plastics like this is that those little lumps and bumps and the textures kind of wear off really quickly just through a little bit of basic breaking in. So since I've got this, you know, every now and then I just take it down from the shelf, play with it, you know, experiment with some algorithms, do lots and lots of turns, and after a couple of days of that, it was already pretty smooth. I'd still say it's not as smooth as, you know, some of the mass-produced cuboids I have, but definitely serviceable, definitely going to be enjoyable to solve without feeling like the cube is holding me back. So I can't really complain on that front. Like I said, I did have one sticker that was sliding off, but super glue fixed that right up, and all the other stickers seem basically invincible, and they're perfectly placed. You can see it's not like what I was complaining about with the Calvin's 4x4x6. All the stickers are placed basically perfectly, and given that that's Chewie's specialization, maybe we should expect that, I suppose, but still I'm impressed. Every face, the stickering job is pretty flawless, so I'm really happy with that. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased to be able to get my hands on a 3x5x7, really at a fraction of the cost of the other means of getting it. So your other options other than this would be, for example, to get a hand-modded puzzle from Trifum. He's produced a lot of 3x5x7s. There's a number of videos on those around YouTube from people like Super Antonio Vivaldi, Crazy Bad Cuber, etc. They seem like really wonderfully produced handmade puzzles, but they also cost $250. this one, including shipping cost $122. So a little bit less than half. You know, I'll get the full experience of solving a 3x5x7 at a fraction of the cost. Someday, if I decide that I'm going to be another Super Antonio Vivaldi and get obsessed with 3x5x7s, then maybe I'll invest in a hand-modded one as well. Or maybe we'll be lucky and somebody will finally mass-produce one. That would be exciting. But in the meantime, I'm more than happy with this. And I love the fact that Chewie lets you print all of his puzzles now in whatever color that you like. So I decided to be adventurous and go with orange. I figured even though there will be people in the world who have 3x5x7s, it's very unlikely that many people will have orange ones. So it definitely will be a standout in my collection for a while to come. So what's so special about the 3x5x7? Well, of course, we have an ultimate shapeshifter here. So when you have cubes of these kind of dimensions where each you know, along the width, length, and height, each dimension is different, and they all differ by 2. So it could be even, like 2x4x6, which is mass-produced by Calvin's, or all odd, like this, 3x5x7. What you end up with is a cube that can shapeshift on all 3 axes. So when I turn on this axis, I can shapeshift whichever way I like. I can turn on all the other faces. You know, if I turn this axis, I can shapeshift that way and then continue shapeshifting, and things are going to get real messy real quick. So that's really the standout feature of this puzzle. And as a consequence, I'll level with you. I really do not know how I'm going to approach the solve just yet. I mean, typically what happens with other cuboids is that you would sort of solve it first of all as the smallest puzzle that fits within the dimensions of the overall puzzle. So like if I have a 2x2x4, for example, and I need to get it out of shapeshifted state and back to cuboid shape, then I will solve it first of all as a 2x2x2. With a 3x3x5, I first solve it as a 3x3x3, etc. But this is a 3x5x7. So I'm not sure what kind of reduction I would want to do to get through the shapeshifting. Maybe I have to do more than one type of initial solve to resolve the shapeshifting. I really haven't watched any videos or done any reading about these. I wanted to sort of keep myself pure so I could try and figure it out. So I'm sure that once I do figure it out, it's going to seem really obvious. Or maybe it won't. Maybe it's a really complicated strategy. I really genuinely don't know. But I'm really excited to find out. One thing I will say is that some of the layers on this turn slightly better than others, but on the whole, the layers are pretty even in terms of the smoothness of the turns. You can see I can turn these layers at quite a decent clip. There is friction on the longer layers, I think just by virtue of having more pieces, and the alignment is a little bit more difficult to maintain. But, you know, it's certainly not going to be bothersome. However, on this axis, these layers do have a bit of catchiness. And what I have discovered in my experimentation is that I think it's a byproduct of, and I'm not sure whether this is a design element or whether this is just a byproduct of the print coming out a bit strangely, maybe within, you know, given the tolerances of the printer. I don't know, maybe there's some variation. But if you look closely, hopefully you can see here, these corner pieces on this layer, the 3x5 layer, are actually a bit long, a bit longer than these edge pieces. So when I turn that layer, they have a tendency to get caught on these centers along the 5x7 axis. So that can lead to things getting caught up, and you get this catchiness on this layer. But again, it's getting better over time. So as I keep sort of playing around with it and then getting too nervous to do a scramble, I find that each time I pick it up, those layers are getting a little bit easier to turn. There's usually, if they're going to catch, it's going to be on the first sort of 90 degrees of the first turn, and from there it sort of moves pretty smoothly. You can see this one does still catch a little bit on subsequent turns, but it's quite minor. It used to be much more of a showstopper. So I'd turn this layer and it would pretty much stop, and I'd have to really jam it forward. But now it's just a little catch, and I can sort of power through it. And I think it is just by virtue of the fact that these inner centers are getting a little bit shaved down the more I break in the puzzle. So if I had one caveat about this puzzle, that would be it. And I'm not really sure, but like I said, I do think that may just be that, when the print came out, these corners were a little bit misshapen. Or maybe, during the post-processing that Chewie did, maybe some pieces got a little bit smoother than others. I really don't know. But, it's clearly going to resolve itself when I do more scrambles and solves and more breaking in and stuff. So I'm really not too worried about it. But it just came to mind because thinking about the shape-shifting across different axes, all the shape-shifting turns, as you can see, work absolutely fine. But you can notice a little bit of that catchiness when you are dealing with these 5x3 layers. So that's the Chewie's Custom Stickers 3x5x7. I can definitely recommend this if you're looking for an affordable 3x5x7 option. I am very excited to solve this, but along with experimenting with this, I'm working on getting more adept with the MF8 Tom van der Zanden 3x4x5. That puzzle turns really nicely, but unfortunately in my first two solves of it, I did have some pretty serious pops happen. Where several pieces quite literally shot across the room. And I had to, stop my solve and go and get the torch out and look under the couch and things to find the pieces. So that kind of put a stop to one of my solve attempts. I did complete one, but I don't feel that I fully understand all the ins and outs of the cube. I need to do some more scrambles, encounter some more situations, and feel comfortable with dealing with the brick parodies and stuff, and then I'll feel more confident to jump into a scramble with this guy. I like to be methodical about these things, and one thing I've been doing, because I have a tendency to forget solutions after I've solved a puzzle a few times, is I've actually been maintaining sort of diagrams and carefully delineated solutions for all the puzzles that I've figured out, and so I'm being quite meticulous about my cuboid journey as well, trying to go in a sensible progression from one puzzle to the next, making sure I fully understand, and then moving on to the next logical one in the kind of sequence I've developed for myself. But yeah, this is definitely the next in line, so it won't be long before I do a full scramble and solve of this guy. After that, I'm not sure what would be next. I think it'd be nice to have... well, actually, the 2x4x6 from Calvin's is on the way. So that's another ultimate shapeshifter that I can enjoy. But that one is a smaller puzzle, so presumably may not offer as many labyrinthine challenges as this guy. I would be interested to try and get my hands on a higher ordered ultimate shapeshifter, like a 4x6x8, something like that. So I may, try and save my pennies a little bit and chase down one of those, maybe from Trifum or something as an experimentation with his stuff. But we'll see how it goes. I'm confident I will enjoy this one enough to want to progress to further craziness after this is done. So I hope that was helpful. Again, sorry, I'm not ready to do a full scramble on this. I did address this in the comments recently that because of the way I develop my solving strategies, I tend not to scramble puzzles that I'm not yet totally comfortable with, because that just sets back my solving quite a bit, because I've only been doing this for a little over a year, so I still got a lot to learn. But if and when I get a proper handle on this one, I will do a revisit. I'm also planning to do another video like I did with some of the cuboids that I unboxed a few weeks ago, and kind of do a follow-up on some puzzles that I've shown off before, and now that I've solved them a bunch, just to let you know how they perform in practice, and caveats that I've discovered only after some experience with the puzzle, because I do find that puzzles change their character over time, don't they? After you sort of sometimes you discover that in the process of your first solve, there are problems that you don't notice on an initial sort of investigation of the puzzle and your first scramble. And likewise, after you do a bunch of breaking in, some puzzles can really come to life. So I'll try and highlight puzzles that did display some kind of change in character over time, and hopefully that'll help you, again, to beef up your collection if you're interested in any of those. And likewise, I will come back to this guy as well and show it off once I'm confident in my skills. So hopefully you'll look forward to that. In the meantime, I got a bunch more videos lined up for the next few weeks, so do look forward to those. There will be no lull in the content, even though I am going back to work next week, which is unfortunate. But it's been a nice long winter break, and I have enjoyed the time I've spent solving, so that's always good. And yeah, I did plan ahead, so at least I've got a few weeks of videos pretty much ready to go, which I'll just release over time, and hope you'll enjoy those as well. And yeah, as always, take care of yourselves, stay healthy out there, and look forward to seeing you in the comments and in the next videos. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.